My name is Carson Todd, and this is my story about my concussion and how it affected me in my life. Growing up, I was a very bright kid, and I always held myself to the highest standard. I think it comes from my parents being on me about my grades when I was little. I would just make them really proud by getting all A's. I remember one time, about third grade, I think I had a C and a B on my progress report. Yeah, we definitely had a conversation about that one. For some reason, those goals always stuck with me, and I've always pushed myself. And because of that, right now I have a 4.0 GPA, and I take college level classes. I don't really like school. That's why it confuses me why I try so hard. When I was around 12 years old, I got into technology. I would always watch people play VR games, and that's why I got my first computer. I mainly got it just so I could play VR. I would play it literally every day. And when I was watching these people play the same games as I did, I realized I could make the same videos. So I watched a lot of videos on editing, and I would just progressively edit more and more until I ended up editing other videos too. Then about 2 years later, one night, I decided to edit a highlight video for my brother's football season. Everyone loved it, and even the company that I got the footage from shared it on their page. So that's when I knew I wanted to do something with editing or something in that area. I also ended up messing around with Photoshop too, and I couldn't find that many good pictures online to edit, so I just said to myself, why not take them yourself? So I got my first camera and first took pictures of my brother's sophomore basketball season. Then I asked the people from the sports company if they needed any help, and everything just took off from there. I first started recording and editing highlights for a youth basketball league. I learned so much in a short period of time, and it just surprised me, especially in my photography. I took pictures of basketball, football, track, sometimes baseball, myself, and even sometimes just the outdoors. I did live streams of basketball and football games. I edited highlights for basketball and football, and even a graduation that ended up on TV. I'm still shocked how I went from a little kid who just wanted to play video games in VR to someone who uses professional equipment and who's well known in their community for just doing something they love. I want to go to Kent State University and major in digital media production. Kent State is the only school I want to go to, no other options. People say I should have a backup, but I don't. They have an 86% acceptance rate, and my scores and grades are well above the average. My goal is to be a technical director for a professional sports team. For people who don't know what a technical director is, they're basically responsible for what you see on your TV. They switch between the cameras and put different graphics on the screen, and I just love the idea of doing that. I plan to start off being a technical director for a news station to build my resume, and then venture out into sports. From kindergarten to high school, I only got 2 B's and the rest all A's. One B in 4th grade reading and a B in 8th grade English. I didn't like the one in 8th grade because it was the last 9 weeks and it was a 91%. Everything except for English just seemed really easy to me. I would work so far ahead and then just have a lot of free time. I thought English class would be about learning the English language and grammar, kind of like Spanish class. In 1st grade, they wanted to move me up to 3rd grade because it wasn't even a challenge for me. I ended up saying no because I didn't want to leave my friends. Although I always joked about how I should have said yes, I feel like it would have been so much different. Freshman year of high school, it was different. Most people are excited right when they get to high school because all the teachers in middle school say we'll have so much more freedom in high school. That was just a lie. The only much more freedom I've seen is that the hallways are bigger, so I guess you have the freedom to walk more. It was January 8th, 2020. It was halfway through lunch and we could go into the gym and play. I remember we were playing basketball and I was guarding my friend. Then bam, I felt a basketball hit the back of my head, and I actually felt my brain hit the front of my skull and then the back. My head felt like when your foot falls asleep, like a tingling sensation. My vision went dark and blurry for a couple of seconds. Then I was standing with my hands on my knees, telling myself in my head just to stay conscious. And I knew a couple people were trying to talk to me, but I couldn't really understand what they were saying. After about 5 minutes standing there, I finally stood up straight and my head was just throbbing. There was pain, but there wasn't too much. I couldn't fully open my eyes because of the lights in the gym. And when the bell rang a couple minutes later, it really hurt my ears. For some reason, I ended up going to my next class. I was only there for a couple of minutes because I couldn't look at the lights and the teacher told me to go to the office. I was laying in the nurse's office for like 15 to 30 minutes with the lights off, but I was just rolling around because I've never felt the sensation ever. And I ended up leaving and actually going to my last 3 classes for some reason. I don't remember any of those classes, and I don't actually remember what my last classes were. I've always been sensitive to noise, and I've dealt with kids on the bus I rode for a while. But that day, it just hurt when they would scream, and it just aggravated me more than usual. When I got picked up from the bus stop, I just said I got hit with the basketball, and that's about it. I went home and laid down for the rest of the day, and I took a couple Tylenol for the pain, but it didn't help too much. When I woke up the next day, immediately I felt the worst pain I ever felt in my life. I felt like I just got hit with a hammer and my brain was coming out of my skull. I took a handful of Tylenol. I think it was about 7, and the max in a day an adult can take is 7. But the pain was too bad, so I just went to the hospital. The hospital made everything worse. The lights were insanely bright, which hurt so bad. Concussions make you more irritable, and I could definitely tell. So here I was in a gown, being rolled in a wheelchair to the CT scanner. And at that moment, I was just filled with regret, anger, and just why me? So now I'm in the machine, and I was just shaking because it was really cold and I was so nervous. Right when it started, my headache got so much worse and it was like pulsating. It was like I could feel the radiation going into my head. After that, I got rolled back into the room and just waited. After about 10 minutes of shivering and pain, the nurse comes in making a joke, saying like, "At least we know you have a brain." And then she starts laughing. I wanted to slap her. She said my CT was clear and I just got sent home with nothing. She said I could keep taking Tylenol, but I already took the max I could take in a day, so I just had to suffer through the pain. She also said that I could go to school the next day, which I thought was absolutely crazy. And obviously, I didn't go the next day, and since the nurse said I could go back, I got an unexcused absence. It felt like the school didn't really care that much. Everything at school started to not make sense to me anymore, and I got no help from the teachers because I've always been expected to do so well. If this happened to someone who didn't get the best grades, they probably would have got the help they needed because it would have been obvious that they were struggling. But since I wasn't getting awful grades, they didn't really notice. So I was declining a lot actually, but the decline from where I was average, but I'm not used to being average. When the schools got shut down because of the virus, teachers just put out work online with no help, giving me so many headaches. So when the assignments give me headaches and I can't work on the assignments when I have headaches, well, you do the math. They told us that they were going to grade all the online work, and I even emailed them to make sure. They said yes, and they lied. They took the average from the first 9 weeks and used that average for the fourth 9 weeks. So they gave me all this work and gave me headaches for weeks, all for nothing. For nothing. It was just the little things that would make me mad. When the beginning of sophomore year was coming up, I still had all the concussion symptoms 7 months later. I was just mentally drained. I couldn't keep pushing myself. So I ended up taking mostly regular classes, not advanced. The only advanced classes I took were Algebra 2 because it was still reasonable for me, and college government and history because that was something I actually needed to learn. I told myself I was done pushing myself in things that I would never use in real life. I took regular English and biology. Most of my friends were in their regular classes, but I didn't have any with them. And my friends that were in the advanced classes, I obviously didn't have any with them either. In March, 14 months after the concussion, I was still having all the symptoms, and it was getting harder and harder to concentrate and focus in class. I would just stare off and not pay attention most of the time. I remember getting a test bag and it had the number 18 on it. I asked the teacher, was this out of 20? He said it was out of 38. I've never gotten anything near a 47% in my life. And then I actually did test corrections and I only got it up to a 64%. So that's when I knew it was time to go to the doctors. So I go to my hometown doctor, but I guess they didn't think it was that serious because I saw a physician instead. He basically blamed all my headaches and lack of focus on my sleep, water intake, and stress, even though I told him I slept 8 hours a night, drank about 5 bottles of water a day, and I've definitely been through more stress in my life before than what I was going through at that time. And it's not a coincidence that after I get a concussion that I start to get headaches more, but he didn't realize that somehow. About a week later, I went to see my doctor again because the pain was awful. Instead of seeing my doctor, I saw the same physician again. And like the last time, and the hospital visit, I got sent home with nothing. On April 1st, April Fool's, I woke up and something hit me. I was feeling the same exact pain I felt the day after I got hit. At this point, Tylenol wasn't working, so I didn't take any. I went to the emergency room again. Being someone who's never had any medical problems or broke anything, it was weird. I was being asked, what's my name? Do you know where you are? Do you know what year it is? When I was being asked those questions, I knew them, but it made me realize how serious this actually was. I didn't have any normal concussion. I was in the hospital feeling like my head was going to explode 15 months after I got hit. They basically just put me on an IV and gave me medicine that relieved the pain and made me tired. I told myself I'm not going to let another person try to tell me how I'm feeling and then say it's my fault I was having these headaches. A couple days after the emergency room visit, I had to go back to my doctor because they said I needed to have a checkup. And guess who I saw again? The same physician who knows it all, apparently. I was trying to be nice and respectful to him, but that's until he said these words. He said, "I'm certain there's nothing wrong with you. I'm certain there's nothing wrong with you." certain there's nothing wrong with you. To go through the pain and struggle I went through for over a year, and then having a doctor's assistant tell me that there's nothing wrong, that made me mad. I guess I finally said the right words or the wrong words at the end of the appointment. He was going to send me home with nothing again for the third time. That he finally recommended me to a neurologist at Nationwide Children's Hospital. And I was just kind of accepting at that point that everything's going to change. Is school going to be this difficult now? Will I even go to college? Will I even be able to do my dream? I just didn't know anymore. A week before I was scheduled to see the neurologist and the other doctors at Nationwide Children's, I went to a party on May 8th. At one point, we were playing horse. I made the shot, obviously, got my rebound, I passed it back, and started running back to the line. Then, bam, I got hit again with a basketball. I felt the same tingling sensation I felt on January 8th, and I knew it was just going to make everything worse. My first visit up at Nationwide was a long day. First, I talked with the head trauma specialist about how I got my concussion and my possible second concussion. Then I talked with the neuropsychologist about all I've been through and how I feel. I also had to do memory tests and other tests. Then I saw the physical therapist and she gave me exercises to do at home. Then I met with the neurologist. We talked about the concussions and what medicine I would be on. We also talked about my Tylenol use. The neurologist and the head trauma specialist said that I used so much Tylenol that my body was now immune to it. So I had to take a leave to counteract that. At the end of my appointment, I asked if an MRI was a good idea, and the neurologist agreed. The day of my MRI, I was so nervous. I didn't know what I wanted. If they found something, that would explain my headaches, but they found something. If they didn't find anything, then they wouldn't find anything, and it wouldn't explain my headaches. When we got to Nationwide Children's Hospital, that's when all the nerves came in. I saw this huge building that was like 3 blocks long, and I don't know, it was just scary. We finally get checked in, and I'm just sitting in the waiting room shaking, and then I hear my name get called, and in my mind I said, here we go. I'm walking through a bunch of corridors and hallways just thinking. I was thinking about, what if I was just one step to the left, one step to the right? What if I didn't go into the gym that day? What if I didn't go to school January 8th? What if the person I was guarding was left-handed, so we were on the other side of the court? Life is full of what ifs, and they're called ifs for a reason. I had to make sure my pockets were empty, had to walk through a metal detector, and then there it was, this big MRI machine. And right before I saw it, I saw a room full of a bunch of radiologists and a bunch of screens. I get on the table and the radiologist puts some blankets on me and then puts like a helmet on my head and then a bunch of pads around it. And the helmet has a mirror on it so I could see the movie. The MRI took a little over 30 minutes. I didn't even focus on the movie. I was just panicking for no reason, and the noises from the machine didn't help. After the MRI, I actually got a copy of it. For about a week, I was looking at it every night, trying to see if anything abnormal was there. I get a call from my dad, and it was a message from the doctors. They said they found something. I didn't get told what it was or how serious it was, but they said I had to get another CT scan. I didn't know for about 2 weeks. I was worried about it so much that my headaches came back and they hurt so bad. every day I'm looking at hundreds of pictures of normal MRIs, just comparing them. I couldn't find anything. Then I thought I found something. I saw this weird looking big vein. I said to myself, is that an unruptured aneurysm? That's what I thought for about a week. I watched a lot of brain surgery videos and did a lot of research. It just wasn't a good time. So the day of my appointments and my CT scan came up. The whole way up, I was just saying to myself, this day determines if my life is going to change. The neurologist pulls up my MRI and starts telling me about my eye muscles and stuff around it. I thought that was weird because on that same picture, I saw the big vein I thought was the issue. But then he points to a small blob behind my right eye. He said it was abnormal and asymmetrical, and they didn't know what it was, so they had to do a CT scan to get a clear look. Then he said it was most likely an incidental find, and it probably wasn't even causing my headaches. So that just confused me and kind of made me a little mad. So I finished my appointment with the neurologist and had the neuropsychologist next. She asked me what I wanted the outcome to be of the scans. I really didn't know. When I got home, I looked at my medical reports and it said that I showed a fairly flat effect. And for the people who don't know what a fairly flat effect is, it's basically you don't show emotion on your face. And I think that was because I was just so nervous and scared that I wasn't trying to show it. Then it was time for the CT scan at the Children's Hospital. I was feeling the same nerves I had for the MRI, except this time I knew there was something in my head, but I didn't know how serious it was. This one wasn't as bad as the MRI. It only took a couple of minutes and I could keep everything in my pockets, but I did have the same pulsating feeling in my head from the first CT scan. I get home and I get a notification saying that my scan results were done. I stared at my phone for about 10 minutes before opening it. I finally did, and the first thing I see is the word cyst. So knowing me, I did all of my research, and then I realized this isn't even in my brain, this is behind my right eye. So they would have to take out my eye to actually remove it. And honestly, I would rather have brain surgery than my eye ever coming out of my socket. The doctor called about an hour later and said the cyst was non-cancerous and it was too small to cause any harm. The minimum size it would had to be is 1.5 centimeters and mine was 0.8 centimeters. It's kind of scary knowing that I'll probably have something that's not supposed to be in my head for the rest of my life, but my worry kind of went down when I found out that it's half of the size of a dime, but that's still scary just thinking about it. All the doctor stuff is almost completely done now. I just have to keep going to physical therapy a few more times, I think, and keep checking up with the neurologist about my medicine. I don't really have a lot of headaches anymore. I just get lightheaded and tired because of my medicine. I think what's going to happen is that I'm going to slowly decrease off the medicine until I don't need it anymore. I'm not 100% back to normal, but I've been playing basketball lately. I still haven't really went my hardest because I don't want to get injured again. I've been hit in the head twice with a basketball, pulled my left calf twice and my right calf once playing basketball, hurt both of my hamstrings playing basketball. I broke my nose, twisted my ankle playing basketball. A lot of injuries. Basketball, I just can't stop. It was my childhood. I've always played basketball and I've improved so much and I just can't stop playing. But I can't give it my all anymore. It's too risky. What if I get another concussion? Every time someone gets a concussion, it doubles the chance of getting another one. So now I'm 4 times more likely to get a concussion if I get hit in the head. And who knows what would happen to me if that happens. My junior year is coming up now and I'm starting to push myself again. I've made a lot of progress and I feel like I can focus and concentrate again. After this year, I'll be a year done with college. So after all I've been through, I'll be a whole year done with college already. I wanted to share my story because it's not about how hard you can get hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. I'm moving forward because I'm not letting a basketball change my goals and dreams. I wanted to be a Kent State Golden Flash before I got hit, and I'm going to be a Golden Flash after I got hit. My name is Carson Todd, and that was my story. So I got my first camera. I first took pictures of my basketball. Professional equipment. It is well known. Why am I not allowed to say a triangle is a triangle? Because it has 3 sides. That's all the proof you need. I understand they want us to learn comprehension.
It's down there, another boy you got.
It might be. It might be on. I think it looks good. Did you serve?
Don't be there. No, I like it. I'm always on that side, you know.
I felt the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. I felt like really after about 10 minutes of shivering and pain. After about 10 minutes of I'm not used to that. Building. I was like 3 blocks down. I don't know. Something. I saw this weird looking thing. That was just a lie. Okay, two vans of Amish people just staring at me.